Hello, hello, hello. Let's fix that. More time. There we go. I think I got it now. Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm excited to be live with you guys tonight. I have missed you. I've had a crazy October, much crazier than planned, but I'm glad to be here with you tonight. Habitual hobbies in the house. Hello, hello. Plant obsessed. Hello, hello. Good. I'm glad it's working. So I know that I was trying to go live here and on Facebook. I don't think it's working. I'm going to double check that real quick. Something didn't go right on Facebook. Well, we will just try this next time, but this time we're going to stick with where we are here. And as you all know, if you've been coming to the lives, I have been struggling with internet connectivity. So tonight we're just going straight live from the phone. Hopefully I can keep the stream up and running. The more I have invested in improving my internet connection and my internet equipment, the worse things have gotten. Yay. So hopefully next week we can start on round 937 of resolving this and fixing it. So I'm excited, excited, excited. Hey, Elizabeth. So I'm going to grab a sip of water. While I'm doing that, if you're here with us, whether it's the first time or you're a repeat folks or you're just catching on replay, say hey in the comments. Tell us where you are watching from. If you're watching live, say you're watching live. And if you're catching it later, put in hashtag replay so we know. It is always fun to see where everybody is from. And it helps me remember too, because sometimes I don't know where I'm from, let alone everything else. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And if I look away, I've got this running on my phone, but it's on the desktop right now, just in case. Watch tonight because I'm not streaming from the internet connection. Everything will be just fine. But I wanted to make sure I could read all of your comments back and forth. So thank you for that. That's right. Southern Missouri, 6B, 7A. 7A in the summer, 6B in the winter, right? Something like that. Sacramento, California. Hello, Anastasia Lee. Fantastic. Sacramento in the house. I know. Let's see. I know we have an Ohio here. I think Plant Obsessed is from, oh, yeah, Illinois. Zone 5A in Illinois. My goodness. I am in Zone 9A in Northeast Florida. So if it's your first time joining us here in Northeast Florida, the joke is that we're not always 9A, but sometimes we're 8B, which is what we were last winter. We had some 8B days. So, nope, I just got here, Kimberly. You are not late. We are just getting rolled out, and I'm saying my hays to everywhere and everyone. Elizabeth's in the middle of Indiana. Fantastic. Another Massachusetts. All right, B Twinch, fantastic. Dug out the last of the sweet potatoes. Zone 7A. Fantastic. Well, I'm sure you guys want to start with my visit to Epic Gardening. I got that hint on one of the first comments, so I will start with that. If you haven't yet seen the Ghoulish Garden tour that I posted, I had a little bit of fun. I promised you guys I would show you all what we did for the garden, and already thinking about next year because it was so much fun trying to put it together. I've already enlisted volunteers for next year, so hopefully we'll have even more fun around the garden next Halloween as well. And I think I'll do it earlier, so we'll get it all set up and we'll run the video before Halloween so everybody has time to enjoy it and take a look at that. So thank you, Beach Winch. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was really fun to do. I've got a few more things I bought but just couldn't make happen. One of my dear friends had an unexpected hospital stay, and so I've spent a chunk of time helping her and supporting her and trying to help her through this. And I'm so grateful to have a life and a family and a schedule where I could do that. So It did mean I wasn't making as many videos, but you know, someone's health is more important than that. As much as I love all of you, I knew that you would understand. So thank you. So yeah, the zombie cats are fun. They're actually still, I haven't picked the zombie cats up. They're still hanging out around the meadow. So it's kind of funny. It catches my eye when I'm out there. So let me tell you guys now. First off, I just finished editing the video for Epic Gardening. So that will be released probably tomorrow because it's not going to be finished formatting and everything tonight. So that will probably be released tomorrow. It's waiting for it to finish. If you have a YouTube channel, when you upload it, it makes an SD version and an HD version, and I shot in 4K, so it also needs to upgrade the 4K version. So once you upload it, it still takes a few hours for it to be ready to show when you do that. And of course, I want you guys to have the best quality video available. But California was awesome. California was awesome. I enjoyed being there, enjoyed getting to do the things I had to do, but my biggest takeaway had nothing to do with anything except the drive. And so I rented an EV to drive over to the Epic Homestead. It was a couple hours drive from where I was. And here is my takeaway. Don't do that again. That is my takeaway. So the morning I was getting ready to go over to Kevin's, I said, I'll just stop and top off the battery here. And I plugged in and it said it was going to take 10 hours to get me enough power to get back to where I originated. So lesson learned, I won't do that again on a road trip like that. You know, if you're going to go somewhere and you have plenty of places to charge up. But the really sweet thing, and I didn't talk about this in my video, but I can share with you guys here, is Kevin allowed me to charge. He has an EV station at his house and for his car, and he allowed me to get charged up so I could get back on the road. And to me, that was just, he didn't have to do that. But it was really sweet, and I appreciate him allowing that. So Kevin, if you happen to be watching this, thank you once again. You made it possible for me to get back to my origin well ahead of time had I had to wait on an EV charging system in a public place. So that was fantastic. But now that that's out of the way, I have to tell you, what nice people. What nice people. I guess I could scoot here, be a little more in the middle. So when I got there, Kevin came outside and greeted me because I was a little early. He's like, no, come on back. We're doing this. And they were working on the pepper video. And I got to meet some of the folks on the team. He texted Jacques and said, hey, Jacques, Michelle's over here. And Jacques came over and we all kind of talked garden shop. It was kind of cool. So we were walking around to the different garden beds. I got a preview on the new imperial sizes of the birdies beds. I can talk about it now because they've already released that video talking about what's going on there. And so I'm really excited to see that and some of the other changes that are coming out with those beds. So that's going to be really cool. I got to talk with Jacques about some of the other different kinds of beds and ideas of how I was doing things in the meadow. And it was just so nice. And then Molly, who's on the affiliate team, came over, and Ian, who is one of the videographers, was there, and he actually helped run all the camera equipment. So I was really grateful for that. And I got to meet Paul, who is the current garden assistant. And it was just really neat to see everything that is happening there. It really is pretty big. I mean, I know you see it and it looks pretty crowded in when he's got all the different garden areas growing together, but it really is a pretty big space. And looking at it, it looks like maybe it's a double lot, that maybe a house maybe used to be on the second lot, or maybe they never built there, because it's a really large lot and you can't miss it. You know, when you get there, you're like, yep, this is the place. I see all those birdies garden beds in the front yard and the little fence and an orchard row. So it was really fun. And again, it's ready. I just have to finish letting it update, and it's best from a release standpoint for my channel to do it in the evenings, then everybody has time to catch it on the first thing. I may set it as a premiere to come on tomorrow night so folks can get notifications. So thank you. But it was really great to sit down and see that giant water tank. You guys have seen those channels, and the outdoor shower. And I did not shower in the outdoor shower, don't worry. But it was just really cool. It looks exactly like you expect. And definitely what you see is what you get, just like meeting the people that you see on the channel. And so it was really a great trip. Just, I don't even have the, I was just floored at how nice everybody was, and how cool it was to meet everybody. And he has a really cool area, and you see it on the channel, but I didn't realize it until I was there. He's got this really cool carport thing in the back. So a completely covered patio. So he's got literally a cooler area for them to work on projects and stuff under there. And that was really neat. I was like, that's kind of nice. I wonder if I could do that. I've got my studio, but do I? That's kind of cool. So I really liked that. And so that was neat. And so, yeah. And thank you, Plant Obsessed. Yeah. The only super fast charging apparently is for Tesla. And so the car that I had was not a Tesla. It drove great. I was really happy with how the car felt, how it rolled, but that was unnerving for me. And I was probably a little off my game, even because it was just circling in the back of my head. Like, I mean, I didn't plan to spend, the night over here. And, so you're trying to think of these things and get it all figured out. So, but maybe in the future, things will get better for that. And that's what I'm certainly hoping as well. Maybe get some solar cars that charge. But I mean, I might try a hybrid next time, but I won't do an all EV again for when I'm going to be on a road trip, around town, or if you're already in the town, groovy, not for a road trip. So, but that said, what questions do you have? What kind of things do you want to know about what all went growing on, or do you want to wait till after you see the video and just ask them there? Feel free to put them in the comments. It was just such fun, I was there while they were stringing the peppers. If you saw Kevin's drying the peppers like an Italian grandma video, they were stringing the peppers for that. And they had just finished shooting the buried scraps video. And so I could see the remnants of that. So it was like being it's in a garden that is kind of like my yard, though, in a garden that's also a movie set sort of a thing, so there's all these projects happening everywhere, all at once. And I felt so at home to have so many different things growing on there in the garden. Thanks, Kimberly. No problem. Absolutely. Watch it and then ask all the questions when the video comes out tomorrow night. Be sure to watch it. It's really great. Yeah, I'll be selfish for a half a second. It's really great for a creator when the videos are first released, when people go and watch them right away. It really does help how the video go wider and things like that. So absolutely. And thank you, Kay. Thank you. Anastasia wants to know, are they as funny in person as on video? Yes. And Kevin, I know, is super busy. And so for him to stop, there's a whole business of epic gardening. And so for him to stop and take the time, he was present. He really just was pleasant and present and funny. And he's like, yeah, come over here. I want to show you this. Now, when you did this in your video, or how this happened and that happened. And we were talking about the birdies beds and some of the things. And it was just like we were old friends is what it really felt like, which was cool. But, I try never to assume that, and so it was very gracious. It was very, very gracious. And I got to see all the different things happening up front. And Jacques challenged me on some ideas about irrigation. So I'm excited to put those into play and try some of those things out as well. So did I get any good food in San Diego? So I was up in Ocean Beach, and I did have some good food up there. But if you're in the San Diego area and you haven't been up to Ocean Beach, or you haven't been up to Ocean Beach in a while, I stayed at a place called the Same Sun Hostel. And I had planned to shoot all kind of video about it, and then I just didn't. But it's a really cool hostel. I had a private room in a hostel, which still isn't very cheap. It was California, but not cheap. But I was right at the ocean. It was overcast, so I couldn't go and take any sunset videos. But I found a butcher shop on the main drag there that's open till like 11 p.m. I found a vintner, and I went and drank local wine that they were fermenting right there on site. I found a craft brewery where I went and I kicked back a pint. I found some Thai food over there. The Thai food was very good. And so there was just all kinds of things happening around there. It was like a really cool beach scene, beachy village, hippie vibe. It felt like Asheville, North Carolina met California kind of a vibe. So that was really cool. And yes, it was really cool. In fact, Kimberly says really cool. He watches your videos. He watched, I know for sure, that my first comparison video, but I will say I was a little floored when Jacques came over. I was like, well, hey, I'm Michelle. He goes, I know who you are, Michelle. I was like, you do? Like I knew Kevin did because we've had some exchanges with a video. I had no idea Jacques knew who I was. And he goes, yeah, I've watched some of your videos. In fact, I want to ask you. I'm like, what? This is cool. And then I tried to not to be all fangirly. I'm not usually, but I tried not to be too fangirly, but that was fun. But San Diego was it was a quick trip over there and back. So I just stayed one night in San Diego or in Ocean Beach, but it was just a really cool scene up there. And it was really nice to sort of be there and go exploring and walk around and see the scenes. I like that. I don't get to do that very, very often. So that was nice. So it's fall gardening time here finally, right? You know, daylight savings time. We'll see. We'll see how this goes, but I just want it to be one way or the other, whatever the way is, and let's just be done with it. I really like early morning light. I know that a lot of people really like light later in the day, but I like getting up in the garden early in the morning and getting it done. So that'll be fun. But I got dirty a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think I posted anything on YouTube about it, but I did share on Instagram. From over in Jacksonville, a company called Man in Overalls delivered me 5 cubic yards of his magic mix. And so I was able to fill 3 garden beds fully and have enough to fill actually 3 garden beds fully with logs and stuff. I finished off the top of those. Finished filling off the top of another bed, fully filled a small bed, and I have enough left to fill 1 more bed. And so I've got dirt. I'm closer to getting the fall garden planted. I cannot wait. I'm so ready to have some things growing on around here. Yeah, so Kay says, it'll be interesting to see which irrigation company you'd pick. You've been meaning to install one. So I'm thinking on the irrigation, I'm going to have to do this in phases that might take 1, 2, or 3 seasons to accomplish it all. And so this season, this next season, between winter and spring, I am going to work on I guess the infrastructure is right. So literally in the garden beds, setting up better irrigation, and then probably just doing a bunch of hoses to connect them and running outside and turning on the faucet, and then maybe using a timer of some kind and then running back and turning off the faucet. So that's what I think phase 1 is going to be, so that I can get a real sense of what I need in each of the areas. Then maybe next year move to digging in some pipes, potentially, I'm not sure. And then the next season, actually hooking it up to an irrigation system like you would a sprinkler system. And so it never even occurred to me that you could do that. And I saw a video, and I won't remember her name right now, but she gardens in Arizona. And so I saw that. And then when you'll see this in the video, Kevin talked about it. He had an irrigation system put in that's got 15 zones. And so the whole idea is that you could literally run all of your zones off of a sprinkler timer and a manifold system. Had no idea. And so I may see what that's going to take if I could tie it into my existing wiring that's already done and set up some valves to make that work, because the wiring's already there. I think we could just run new pipes from it. So time will tell on that. Let's see, we got a couple of questions here. I'm going to look over at the desktop so I can see them here. Oof, yeah, 5:30 dark. So what is in the magic mix? So that is a great question, but he makes it himself in the magic mix. And hang on a second, it's not cheap, but I won't have to add any fertilizer to it probably for the first 6 months because it's so rich. But it's a proprietary, I'm reading it off the website here, it is a proprietary compost-based soil mix. And it includes, I know he uses azomite and other minerals in there, but he has this really magical mix. And everyone around here who has used it swears by it. So that part is pretty cool. So I think that's what the magic is you do have wood litter and compost and azomite, and I mean, and you can tell it's a rich base because when it first got delivered, I was like, wow, I can tell this used to belong inside animals. So that was very, very good, very, very good. Yeah, nobody has figured out what to do about daylight savings time yet, but maybe one day they will. Maybe one day they will. Plant Obsessed, I have not watched the Millennial Gardener's irrigation videos, but I will do that because I know, you know, the way that I have my system set up on the perimeter, I've got to do something. I used to have it set up in mental zones where I would water this group on one day, and then the next day I'd water this group, and the next day I'd water this group, and then I would just keep rotating around. But that also means I'm out there watering for 2 hours a day or an hour and a half a day. And I definitely want to have more valuable time in the garden than just watering, though I enjoy it. Excuse me. I find it very relaxing. I just don't have 2 hours to do only watering these days. So let's see what out here. Let me see. 4:30. Excellent. So Habitual Hobby says that she is picking up a truckload of compost on Tuesday and top off all the containers. Man, that is awesome. That is awesome. Well, I mean, it is just so amazing to have a good, rich soil. And by the way, this particular company will deliver and install it. So I have my yard set up so they could back their trucks right in. And so they were able to back their trucks right up to most of the garden beds and just unload directly out of the bed of the truck into the garden beds. And it turns out ordering 5 yards of dirt delivered from him is cheaper than trying to get the equivalent in like a Whitney's mix. It's cheaper by a little bit, but I also have the labor done. So if I buy the Whitney's and I come do a few bags at a time, I've got to haul every one of those myself. And I've looked at having bulk delivery where they dump it on your driveway, but then I still have to hire help to move it and spend a few $100s moving it to different places in my yard. So this is what we're trying this year. I'm excited to try this dirt out and see how well it does. So, Plant Obsessed says, since it freezes a foot deep here, I may need a professional. Oh, for irrigation. Well, I mean, I'm not a professional at this because I've heard people talk about it, though. For sure, you would need a way to drain the lines, right, so that they aren't filled during the winter months when they're not being used. That's for sure. But if you get frost a foot down, I don't even. I mean, do you have a sprinkler system for your yard? What do you have to do to protect that? So, yeah, Habitual Hobbies. Take a look at a heavy duty tarp, but also, if you haven't seen it, and I don't know if I can find it here, but on Amazon, and I've seen it at Harbor Freight, there is a roller trolley that you can put in the bed of your truck, and different ones of them have different weight capacity. So even if it couldn't move all of it at once. If you got half of it dug out, and you could still unroll it, but it literally looks like a conveyor belt. And so you press the roller and it rolls out and can dump the stuff off of a pickup truck. So take a look at that. Kimberly wants to know, how often do I change the dirt in my beds? Typically, I don't change the dirt in my beds. I would just add in compost and fertilizer to the top of the beds. The reason I needed more dirt was when I did my dig out video, I dug out the Birdie's garden bed and the Vigo garden bed. And after digging those out, I ended up using that soil in other places around the garden. So I just didn't have any more soil in those. And since that time, I have installed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more garden beds and have 6 more that need to be filled. And so I've kind of gone crazy over here. We're just going to have to do a garden bed tour soon. Take a guess in the comments. Take a guess in the comments how many raised garden beds I have in my yard right now. Just take a guess. I think you guys will get a kick out of this. So, oh, no sprinkler system. Let's see here. Let me back up here. Habitual Hobbies. I live almost 40 miles from the company, so I can't afford their delivery fee. Yeah. Yeah, and the delivery fee is twice as much. Absolutely. And you have a truck. So that makes it much easier. I don't have a truck. I could rent one if I only wanted one truckload of it. And so I could go and pick it up and drive a truck and rent a pickup truck and go and do that here too. But I'm happy letting the young people do it. Let's just put it like that. They were such nice people to come out. Sarah said, would love to do winter growing here easily, a heated greenhouse. Yeah, Sarah, I bet you would. But you know, there are some things, and I don't know, and you probably wrote that where you're located, and so the winter growing is really interesting. Being here in Florida, apparently we get some of our better crops across the late fall and winter because we can plant things that like it cool, but they don't do well once it starts heating up because they start bolting. And so, but it is kind of it's kind of funny how I interact with all you amazing folks, and everybody sort of has this very different climate. And even in your own yard, there are places where you have a different climate. I climbed into the van. It was parked in the front of the house, but it was really close to the garage. After Halloween morning, it was really right up against the house. And so the thermometer in the van said it was 56 degrees outside. I pulled out into the street, and before I pulled away, it was 48 degrees. And the van was not sitting in the sun because there's no sun that time of morning. And so just in 20 feet, there was an 8-degree difference. You know, the house having its own microclimate versus out in the street. So it was pretty cool. Anne said her no sprinkler system. It's all Anne powered here. Very good. Habitual Hobbies. Do look into that roller thing, because honestly, as much growing and as many things as you seem to be doing and that I see on your channel, having something like that in the truck, and they're not cheap, but they're also not, you know, they're not way out there in price. But just you'll want to pay attention to what the weight limit is, because you don't want it to have the pulleys break. But it might be worth it for loading and unloading the truck on other things later too. But take a look at that and see what you could do for that. So here we got some guesses. We got 17, 5, 21, 16, 12. Let me see. Now I used to know the number. Let me see. I'm going to count it up real quick. We got, now I'm not just counting the Birdie's beds, but I'm not counting the cloth beds either. I'm only counting the things that are official raised garden beds. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 6 across the back of the meadow. That takes us to 10. And then we have 1, 2, 3. That's 13. We've got 14. 14. 15 assembled right now, 1 more in the garage and 1 more on the way. So 15, 16, 17 are the right answers, all of the above, right? Fantastic. Way to go. Habitual Hobbies. Way to go. Kimberly Barton. Actually, you all, it's okay. I just haven't been showing off the garden beds. That's why you didn't know, because I haven't done as many tours. But yeah, there's a lot out there right now. It's kind of crazy. And so I still need more dirt. I'm going to have to get at least one more 5 cubic yard load to fill them all up, But yeah, it's crazy. Good job guessing. Maybe how about let's see. Let's have some prizes. I always want to do some prizes. So Habitual Hobbies and Kimberly Barton, you guys were the two closest. Email me and I'll send something out to you guys, or I'll give you a gift certificate or something for the site or whatever. That'll be fun. I know I didn't plan to do that, but email me. Here is my email address, michelleandthemeadow@gmail.com. I am obsessed with prizes because I like having fun. It's fun to do. Hey, no Kaylee tonight. I hope she is okay. I know she had a tough week. But yeah, email me. I'm gonna send you a little something. I am working on. You guys liked the idea of the video, the gardeners video, so I am working on that. I'm going to have some people who aren't gardeners go and pick some gardening gifts, and we're going to do that and shoot that video in the next probably within the next week or so. I'm going to shoot that video and get it live because I've been eyeballing stuff, and I'm curious now if my family would think I would like some of the things that I would like. That'll be fun to see. So let's see what other things are going on. Plant Obsessed said she is hoping for some good Black Friday sales again this year. You should look for some good Black Friday sales again this year. Keep tuned to the channel. You should look for those. Yes. That's all I can say about that officially. So, and actually, Plant Obsessed, and you're the reason that I got the beds that I did, and I think we talked about that already. And it was you mentioned them, and I was like, my gosh, I went and looked at them. I was like, I don't want L shapes, but this is perfect. I wanted rectangles, so that was great. Oh, I see a couple of comments I missed. Happy letting the young people do it. I mean, I know I look young, but I'm not quite as young. I'm AARP age, y'all. So, the Panhandle of Nebraska, almost in Wyoming. Yeah, that's pretty cold there, Sarah. You would definitely need some kind of greenhouse in order to do some winter growing there. Has anybody here used like those underground greenhouses or tried any of those where they scoop out the earth? Those looked really interesting to me, though it wouldn't work in Florida. I would just be building a swimming pool. But I've seen some where they actually go down into the ground and then they build the glass walls up on the side. But it helps use the heat of the earth, the geothermic energy there. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay. All right, good. I'm glad the live's working. I know you have to expect that it's probably me. And I guess since I am going from my phone this time, and I may just keep doing this in the future, and it seems that it's okay. The quality doesn't look quite as good as when I was on the computer, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. So, yeah. Hey, you gotta love sales. Like the reason I am able to do the things that I have done in the garden is because I have figured out alternate ways to do it. So, the original plan, I got a couple of garden beds. I hadn't really planned to become an affiliate. I hadn't really thought anything about that. And being an affiliate has afforded us the ability to buy more garden beds and do some other things. I have received some of the garden beds that I have for free in exchange for doing reviews and photographs and things, and that's okay too. And I try to always share that with you all too. I would say not quite half. Not quite half of the garden beds I've gotten to do a review on, but the other half I've paid for. And so, and I am always working on creating new content on and around them too, and bringing value to you. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you all are what matters. If I want to be a content creator, I have to create content that is of value to you. It just happened to land me in the raised bed niche, and it wasn't really a best laid plans because there were no plans. All right. Oh, good. That's good to know. Thank you, Plant Obsessed, for letting me know that the quality looks good. Fantastic. That makes me happy because I am on my phone. I do have it plugged into power, but we are using the cellular network for this. Plant Obsessed does inside growing for hydroponics. Hey, that might be something, Sarah, thinking about that. A geothermal greenhouse, but they had to use heat from the dryer to keep things alive. Interesting. Curtis OffGrid with Curtis Stone. Now, he's really invested money in his greenhouse and stuff, but OffGrid with Curtis Stone, if y'all have not seen any of his videos, he has a greenhouse that I think is running off of geothermal, and they're literally running the hot water pipes underneath the house or something, or underneath the greenhouse. It was fascinating to me. I think there are so many different ways we can figure stuff out. But there are just some things that just aren't going to work, and you just have to, for where you're growing. Now, I've heard other people, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, but I was thinking about this, and I think I heard Jacques talk about this on their video this week when they did their where else would you grow was one of the questions when they were in their Halloween costumes. And one of the things about being in a winter place is you actually get a break from gardening. And so I'm not there yet, but I'm less likely to garden as much in the summer now, I think, as I tried in the past, because it was just so hot and so ineffective. And so the nice thing about being in the winter, except that you can't grow stuff, is that you don't have to grow stuff because you can. You don't feel obliged to grow stuff. But then you have to grow a lot more during your grow time in order to make up for that if you are creating sustenance for your family and actually trying to live off of it. So it is an interesting juxtaposition depending on which way you think about it. So grab another sip of water here. So I've been getting my fall seeds together and getting ready for this, and also looking at celery, growing celery, which isn't something I've grown before, but apparently celery doesn't like the heat, but likes lots of moisture and water. So I want to figure out a place I could grow a little bit of celery in the garden, because I think that would be kind of fun. And again, I'm going to blame Jacques on that one, because he said, the nice thing about growing celery is that if you're growing it, you only need a stalk. You just go out and take a stalk, and it's cut and come again. And I was like, I didn't really realize about celery. So that'll be kind of fun. The potatoes, last month when we talked, I told you that I had potatoes that I just let go for too long, and they were in all varieties of chitting, and I just went and planted them out into one of those patio gardens. Oh wait, I'm wrong on the raised beds. There's 2 more on the patio. That's hilarious. I don't know where I wrote that all down, but at any rate, there's even more. So there's 2 more than before. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Excellent. Whoever answered that question, whoever answered that, you guys all just send me an email. Also, I'm going to send something out to everybody who participated in that question, because I'm all over the place there. Beach Winch says, I grow herbs in my sunroom, but I do have some little heat in there. Okay. Oh, that would make sense. Okay. A sunroom would work for that. We have so many things that we can grow all year round here. But there are things, by the way, on the flip side, there are things we can't grow because it's just too hot here. So rhubarb can't grow here. The fancy apples, fancy is the wrong word, but like Red Delicious apples can't grow here. We only have 2 varieties of apples that will grow here. we have to have specialized varieties of peaches for the low chill that we have here. And so, you know, it is this really interesting thing depending on where you live and learning to live on those things. Sweet potatoes, I can grow year round here. Someone wanted to know on the channel what we were going to do with our sweet potatoes when it got cold, and I went, nothing. I don't plan to take them out just because it's cold. I mean, the leaves will grow back, but last year I just left them in, and that was my outdoor root cellar, for lack of a better way to put it. All the greens died back, but my sweet potatoes were just fine. Now, they were in a raised bed, and so they were, you know, 30 inches off the ground, 28 inches off the ground. But it'll be interesting to see how they do in the lower grow bag this year, the 15-inch grow bag, if I let them stay in there and I've got a more controlled environment for them. So I see a few more questions here. Thank you very, very much. My AARPH. I am AARPH and then some, so that'll be good. Baker Creek has a few in-ground type greenhouses like that. Oh, that's cool. Now, Habitual Hobbies, is it? Habitual Hobbies. You're pretty close to Baker Creek. Is that true? I saw that you went up there for a festival or something. Are they fairly close by for where you are? Habitual Hobbies moved out her hot peppers into a grow tent so they could keep ripening. That's cool. I have overwintered. I overwintered a pepper last year. I overwintered shishito peppers 1 year ago, and they did really good. They did not make it for a second winter, but that was because I was a terrible plant mom. So let me see about some other questions here. Let's see here. Zone 9B in Sacramento. A few peppers and tomatoes are hanging on, but went ahead and, oh, great, got lettuce, kale, chard, arugula, radish, spinach. What else are y'all planting? That's great. I love it. I love it. Sarah, absolutely. There are disappointments and benefits in every growing zone. That is exactly right. Elizabeth B., thank you. It is a bummer I can't grow rhubarb. Now, here is the funny thing about the rhubarb, and I mention this. I have some rhubarb crowns because they sell it at my local big box store. And so I bought them, and I was going to make a make fun of them video about it. And then I just didn't get around to it. But they actually sell. That's the thing that frustrates me the most in the big box stores is their buyers aren't really paying attention. Like, you can't grow rhubarb here. It's just too hot. It's just too hot. And so, and it's a shame that they're selling it in the different stores where people are buying it thinking maybe they can grow it. So I think that's it. So let's see. Am I going to plant any garlic? Yes, I am. And in fact, I've got my bulbs and onion sets right over there. And so I will be planting in garlic, and I hope to use garlic as a guardian in the garden beds. And so I'm hoping my goal is to sort of start planting out garlic and in the places that it makes sense, but use that as an exterior fence around the edge of the garden beds to hopefully deter some pests. So I don't know how that will work. Plant Obsess says that they are in 2024 planning currently and have started buying for your peppers and tomatoes. Yes. So, okay, so Habitual Hobbies is only 2 hours away from Baker Creek. Okay, so that's not too bad, but that's kind of fun. Then you can go out. So when do I start planning? I am always planning. So I have been working on what we're going to do in the fall for weeks. And so the dirt arrived. It's been about 2 weeks now. And then the Monday after the dirt arrived, my friend needed help. And so I haven't been able to get back out in the garden other than to do watering, because that was necessary, and it's still necessary. And so I'm grateful that she has entrusted me to help her out. And I'm glad that I'm able to do it. So But I am always planning these things, and I'm just always thinking about what I'm going to plant next and what I'm going to grow next. And because I am planning videos around those things too, a lot of times a lot of things need to come together in place. There are some days that I just get out and garden and I don't grab the camera, but I'm trying to be a better content creator and remember to grab the camera, even if I don't have a plan for the video yet. So I'm just continuing to get footage, and I can tell now that I'm a couple of, 18 months or so into this, I'm now able to go back and pull out sweet potato videos or old garden bed videos or photos that I've taken that I can now use for B-roll and for additional footage. And so that's kind of nice that it makes sense to me now that I could, excuse me, just take the camera out there with me, even if I don't have plans for the footage right now. Habitual Hobbies has a wish list in front of her: cilantro, kale, lettuce, beets, rutabaga, spinach, and parsley. Very cool. Do I use a garden planner, or this is from Sarah Belden, a garden planner or garden app to plan? And would I share what I am using? I am not using one right now. What I do, and I've talked about building a garden journal and making a garden journal for our group here of people. And eventually I am going to get that done. But what I have done, and I don't have my seeds in here to show you. They're too far on the other. It would be too much to try to bring them in here. I take my seed packets when I am filing them away, and I write the start dates for my area on them. And so then I try to organize them. Currently, they're organized by type, but then I open it up and I can start laying seeds out, and I go, oh, these are the ones that are planted 6 weeks before the first frost, or these are the ones that go in these time frames. And I just take a big magic marker and write on there. And so my planning goes something like that. It's not necessarily very scientific, but it's helpful to me. One, because I am AARP aged, and I don't have to take a little tiny seed packet and get, up, up, and try to read it. So then I just write it, like that. So that part is helpful to me. So if anybody does have a planner that they're using, I know Habitual Hobbies, feel free to put your seed time link in there, because you're using seed time and I haven't gotten back to work with that yet. Feel free to put your seed time affiliate link in there too. Yeah, Plant Obsessed had the same problem with the local big box store selling plants that weren't right for the zone. It's a shame. It really is a shame, because they could make even better stuff. The other thing that frustrates me, and not just in the big box stores, but some of the smaller stores, is they don't label natives. And I would love to know, I would love to walk into my local ACE nursery or my other kind of nursery. So ACE, if you're listening or you ever had a chance to watch this, I would love to walk into a local nursery and them have a section dedicated to things that were natives in my area. Now, I can understand from a marketing perspective, maybe they don't want to do that because they don't want to show off how many things are non-natives that they're selling, and maybe they're afraid it will hurt their business. But I would love to see a whole section dedicated to natives, and I bet that they could get many of the native plant groups involved with helping with that. And so I don't know, I would love to see more of that. Good, thank you. Habitual Hobbies, feel free, if you have the affiliate link, feel free to put that in there. So I don't see the link here. Let me see if you want to, Habitual Hobbies, if you want to email me that link and I'll put it in here, I'm happy to share that. No problem. No problem. I don't know. It could be a YouTube thing. They don't let you in the audience share the link. So Sarah, I'm glad you like that idea about writing the start dates on the package. It's just helpful. And then I'm not really thinking about it. In my mind, I kind of know what the things are and what time of year they're planting, because I've done it long enough now. The other thing that I use, and I'm sure that other areas have this too, but our extension service here as part of the University of Florida, they produce a monthly calendar, a PDF calendar, and it says North Florida, Central Florida, South Florida on it. And then it tells you by month. And so you print one out for January, print one out for February, and then it tells you whether you should be starting seeds, doing transplanting, or if you need to be putting in starts that you bought from the store. And so they have it sort of divided up by zone and by what they need in that month. It's not perfect, but it's a fairly good guideline. And so I find that really helpful as well. So Anastasia, I'm glad to hear that your smaller independent nurseries have a native section. And I would bet that many of the smaller ones, some of the smaller ones do. We don't happen to have, where I am at, we don't have very many independent nurseries. I would have to drive south to get to an independent nursery. We do get a couple of those big box companies that come around and the traveling nurseries, and I don't trust any of that. I don't know where that's been. So I mean, I go and look at it, but I'm always on my phone. I'm always looking, is this a native? I definitely don't. I'm trying not to introduce bad invasives. There are things that can grow here that aren't invasive, and when I can plant natives, I prefer to do it. So, oh, I'm glad to hear Illinois is more strict about invasive species. That is very good. They are not here. We have something called I think it's called a Mexican Petunia, and they sell them in the big box stores, and they are ridiculously invasive. And so to tell you, we had a chip dump, and they they did not realize it wasn't on purpose, but in the bottom of their trailer they had garbage, they had yard garbage, and they ended up dumping a bunch of weeds with my chips. And there were those Mexican petunias in the weeds. I pulled those out of my garden for 2 years, even though I never let them grow. And they just kept, at my mother-in-law's house, they grow, and she didn't know when she planted them. She planted them in one little section in the front. They grow between the concrete cracks 40 and 50 feet down the driveway and in the back, away from it. And so they're just, it's taken over the whole fence line from time to time. They're just so there. Oh, hi. Speaking of Secret Gardener Mom, hi, Mom. Everybody say hello to Secret Gardener Mom in the comments, please. That is my sweet mother-in-law. She's right there watching. She hears me talking about her, but she knows how I feel about those petunias. But they're beautiful, but they're crazy. And I see them in other parts of my neighborhood. Somebody planted them in the ditch, and they're just everywhere. They're just everywhere. Thank you. I'll go check my email real quick so I can pull that up and put that in the link. Thank you, Habitual Hobbies. So if you guys want to try out the Seed Time Planner, then check this out here. I will pin this to the top if I can get over here to it. That should be pinned up at the top now. You can get to the Seed Time if you are interested in having a planner. And I've seen some great commercials for that, and Habitual Hobbies introduced me to it. I just haven't gone further yet, and I need to. So I need to do something about that. Oh, you are very welcome, Habitual Hobbies. And thank you guys for saying hello to Mom. She is awesome. I have the best mother-in-law you could ask for, but really she's my mother-in-law. And, but just very, very lucky. So love you, Mom. Love you. So, so what else? What other kind of fun things should we be talking about? Did you guys, if you watched the Ghoulish tour, did you see those warty pumpkins? I've never seen warty pumpkins before, but I did notice that on Botanical Interest, they have some seeds for warty pumpkins. And so I'm going to attempt to save seeds from these pumpkins and grow some for next year, because I thought they made really good ghoulish kinds of pumpkins for the ghoul tour. in the garden. So that was kind of fun. That was kind of fun. I need another sip of water here. One of the best parts, or one of the funner parts of talking to Kevin, and it's in the video, but we talked about this idea of being able to run outside and get what you want out of the garden for cooking. So whoever's cooking, oh, hey, do we have this? Hey, do we have that? And it was very funny because he seems to have some of the same problems that I do. Is like, yeah, we've got this, but we're trying to shoot a video on that, so we can't take that out of the garden just yet. And so I thought that was really funny. So do I plan to do any large seed orders over the holidays? Habitual Hobby plans on making a large one after Thanksgiving, specifically for Roma tomatoes. Fantastic. Well, feel free, if you guys are going to order from Botanical Interest, I would appreciate y'all using my link for that, and that's michelleinthemeadow.com/BOTA for botanical. BOTA. I'll put that link in there. Yeah, I love that Warty. I'd never seen one before. Those came from Aldi, believe it or not, for like $5 each, and they're huge. They're huge pumpkins. So I'm going to try to grow them next year. Oh, Sarah, how fun! So Sarah said her son got a Warty Pumpkin trick or treating one year, and they've been growing them ever since. I love that. I just think they really look fun. They really look fun. And Habitual Hobbies, I realized I didn't answer your question. Do I plan on placing a big seed order this year? Probably. I have a lot of seeds that I haven't used yet, but I also I have OSD, obsessive seed disorder, something like that. Is that how it goes? Or OSC, obsessive seed compulsion. So there's something fun about being able to buy seeds, and I mean, seeds are a fairly cheap way to get started in the garden. So I never really mind investing in seeds because what you get back from them is just so great. Ooh, seed unboxing video. That's true. That's true. Do you guys like those? But I find I watch those too. I really kind of dig seeing what people have ordered in to grow. And would you guys like that? Would you guys watch a seed unboxing video? Yes, yes, okay. Obsessive seed buying disorder. I like it. I like it. Habitual Hobby said my mom got carving pumpkins on the sale at the groceries for $7 and for $1 after Halloween, and to feed to the goats and the dogs. Oh, that's a great idea. Yes, on the unboxings. Okay. All right. Yes, yes, on the unboxings. Okay, cool. I'm not using, so you guys can appreciate this. I'm not on the computer. I'm on the phone tonight, but in Zoom, and I don't really know when they started doing this, but if you use Zoom for any work meetings or anything, they have recognized reactions now. And so if you do things like you put your hand up for a high five, it will put a high five emoji on the screen. If you do 2 thumbs, it makes fireworks go off. I was on that call with my business coach, and I was like, listen, coach, my big rock for this week is I'm getting my video up from visiting Kevin. And when I did this, that it saw it as this, and red and hearts just started shooting out, which was, it was a little awkward. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little awkward, but we got through it. We got through it. So fantastic, fantastic. Love learning about the new varieties and the seeds. Yay! Well, then I will do that. I will do an unboxing when I order my seeds in. I think I have almost everything that I'm planting for fall, so maybe I'll have to think about that as a spring unboxing here in Florida. Just a smidge awkward, there, Habitual Hobbies. So the other thing happening in the garden is we have had some thieves. And if you watched the video, you know a little bit. If you watched the Ghoulish Garden Tour, you'll know a little bit about it. But I still think that it was deer. However, I have video footage to prove that the twin raccoons have been doing their share of consuming. And so I ended up getting probably 16 pounds of persimmons off of the other tree, which is fantastic. I shot a short video of picking some of those, but then the next night or last night I have a video of one of them climbing up into the tree and sitting in the tree and eating. I did not make hearts for that. Not at all. Not at all. So yeah, professional fail. That was a professional fail. So if you're in a business meeting, I had no idea that was going to do that. I didn't even know. So so just be aware. Don't make round shapes with your hands if you're on Zoom these days. So anything could happen. So we did still get some persimmons, and the second tree tasted much better than the first tree. So I'm excited about that. And we got the Asian wing beans are finally starting to grow now that it's getting colder. It just took too long this year with transplanting them. So that was interesting. We'll see how they do into next year. They just got a really slow start after being transplanted, but I haven't done a whole lot. I did a little bit of amending of the bed right at the beginning and didn't do much more than that. So probably I could have done a better job with the amendments. So I will have to figure out, especially now that they've had some good groceries over here, I am going to have to figure out how to protect the garden beds a little bit better. And I think it's James Prigioni does this. And if you guys ever watch Eli in the Garden with Eli and Kate, it's another good one, another fun channel. They've built some frames with hinges, and so it sits on top of the bed and then it opens up. And so one of the things that could work is to do that to keep the trash pandas out, but then also it could provide support for a mini greenhouse cover or frost cover on top of the plants going into winter. So that's it. So Sarah says that they have to share their garden with opossums, And I know somebody was posting about that today, about the difference between possums and opossums. And so, and maybe it's still pronounced possum with an O. So if I say it wrong, y'all just forgive me. We have the possums here, but they have not gotten in the garden that I know of yet. Now, of course, most everything now is in a raised garden bed, so possibly the possums can't get up there. And the raccoons, I've never seen the raccoons on top of the tall garden beds, but they had no problem at all getting on the 17-inch garden beds. They just stand up and went floop, just like a cat. And then Babyface, everybody's favorite meadow cat. I guess some of y'all are team Babyface, some of y'all are team Moose. Babyface was playing King of the Hill on one of the garden beds. I had to go out there with some water bottles and squirt her down just to get her off the top. I don't want her up on top of the garden bed. That is not her domain. She has any other place she can want to go. So worst non-insect. Yeah, that is insect, animal, pests you have. For me, trash panda, squirrels, opossum, and rats. Yuck. I am sure like the squirrels could get up on the garden beds, but they don't yet, which is interesting because they have one that they could get on and they could just carry themselves along on that. I have not seen any destruction from rats or squirrels in the garden yet. But I do know there's a creek back there and there's 8 acres of woods. So we have all kind of critters that come through. Every once in a while, the cats will bring us a gift to the patio. I'm not sure if it had happened yet, but our most recent gift was a squirrel. Thanks, Moose. So, so much fun. So much fun. It is going to be interesting because back on Orchard Row now, I was thinking I would be able to plant in those garden beds where I'm getting the orchard set up, but I'm not sure that I'll be able to because I've sort of crossed over into their domain under the edge of the trees, and they jump through the garden beds to come to the yard and they walk along the top of those garden beds. And so I have a feeling that I won't be able to plant the kind of things I had hoped to plant back there. And so I may end up just planting wildflowers up underneath the fruit trees. What's the worst that happens? I get more pollinators. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. You know, you do find things grow, and you do find things happening. And there's just, you can't protect from every single thing that's there. I have not had the squirrels eat the citrus here, and it may be because they have plenty of other things. Mrs. Michelle likes to give them peanuts, so she gives them raw peanuts for the squirrels and the crows. And so maybe they have enough of those, but they do. I have seen them burying some of the peanuts, so it'll be really interesting to see next year if I start having peanuts growing out of different places in the yard. My dragon fruit did terrible. I did not get any flowers on it. We did not fertilize it like we were supposed to. That's really my bigger problem. Honestly, if I think about, I mean, I have lots of big problems, but that's probably my biggest problem, is remembering to fertilize and creating a schedule for it. And so I think that's probably, for this next season, I want to institute some systems that make things better. And I think I need to create myself like a fertilizing calendar. And I don't know how do you guys do that? How do you guys do that? I'd love to know. But I am going to take some of the magic mix that I got in, and we're going to top off the dragon fruit with the magic mix. Where I cut back the dragon fruit, I am using the cuttings on top of the potato bed to discourage the cats from laying on top of my fresh potato sprouts. So the deer ate all the leaves off the sweet potato beds, but you can still harvest them. But that's good. That's good, Beach Winch. And I just forget to fertilize. And so that's what happened to my dragon fruit and a couple of other things. And so I really want to sort of come up with what the right calendaring is. And I may have to literally put labels or stickers on the different beds just to remind me of how frequently it needs to be done. Now, with the new soil, I shouldn't have to fertilize in the new stuff, but the trees and things around the garden, they all need some level of fertilizer. But I know I'm not supposed to fertilize them going into dormant season. And so, you know, it's always learning. It's always learning. There is never, I am by far, even though I've been gardening off and on now for 10 years, I still think of myself as very much a newbie gardener, as I don't remember stuff. So Habitual Hobby says she just fertilizes every month and calls it good. Plant Obsess says I need an Outlook calendar reminder for next year and uses extended release fertilizers. Okay. Kimberly Barton, on a dedicated calendar. Ah, nice. You have a dedicated calendar. It's 3 feet tall, 4 feet wide, with dry erase and sticky notes. I like that. I like that. You know, visual for me is really important. My fruit trees, Beach Winch says, my fruit trees I do the first of each month. The garden I haven't been doing very good at, fairly new soil. So we'll have to start next year. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Sarah, that's a great tip. Sarah's tip is she just fertilizes the garden at the same time the dog gets the heartworm pill, and get her done. That's great too. I like that. I like that. Well, and I think, you know, I try to plant in really rich soil. I'm trying to use as many natural fertilizers as I can, but it's easy to forget, especially when things are looking okay, but they are expending the energy that's in the soil. They're using the fertilizer that's in the soil. So we have to support those plants in one way or another, whether it's extended release. I have plenty of fertilizer. It's not like I can't do it. Y'all, this is the funniest. I started a grow video 30 days ago, October 2nd. I started a sweet potato grow video, and I went over to look at the sweet potatoes this week, and I'm like, they are really doing poorly. Oh, well, let me tell you why, Michelle. because you planted them in old dirt and you put absolutely no fertilizer in the beds in these bags at all. None. Zero. Completely forgot. Completely forgot. And so now, 30 days later, tomorrow I'm gonna go out. It's 35 days. Tomorrow I'm gonna go out and dig in some bone meal and I think we use bone meal and a little bit of bat guano and a little bit of worm castings, and I'm going to dig that in there. So you know that we'll just get it done, and we'll see what happens after that. So I like the heartworm pill though. That's pretty good. Habitual Hobby says, once I top with a high quality compost, we'll only probably fertilize with liquid 2 to 3 times per season. And at the same time, the dog is, yeah, whatever systems work, that's what really matters. And so I want to just get better and better at systems, because I love making these YouTube videos, but I'm a little jealous now. I want to start having some real nice harvest videos. I really do. I really want some harvest videos where I can come and just spread out a table like James Prigioni does and just like, look how many I got. And so that would be fun. However, I could do that for the persimmons, because I did pick, like, I think it was 16. I think we were close to 16, maybe 17 pounds of persimmons. It was 12 pounds in one basket. And so that could be a nice little show off there. But it's just kind of fun to share that with you guys, and to have the food to share and put up as well. So fantastic, man. Thank you. I get all thirsty here talking to y'all. I go to sleep and dream about the garden. I just dream about the garden. How did the mango tree at Mama Meadow's house do? I don't know the answer to that. I'm trying to think. I need to go out there and look. I know what tree you're talking about. Hot summer for her as well. Actually, I'm hoping she and I are going to collaborate on that. Mom, if you're still watching, if I can figure out how to make the irrigation work, we're going to figure it out for your garden too. But Mom uses almost exclusively rainwater. And so, that was the other part of the irrigation system. So one, figuring out a timer, but I really would love to set it up so I'm using the rainwater and using a transfer pump and some sort of timing system for that. So that's a whole different aspect of doing it. I don't know if I'll be able to do that with a drip irrigation system with just a transfer pump, a single small transfer pump. And so we will see. We will see. Hey, Geeky Gardens, how are you? Let's see. Geeky Jack says he amends his beds at the beginning of each season, and then through the season they get homemade fish fertilizer every couple of weeks when he cleans the turtle tank. Nice, nice, nice. Well, it's good. Look, it's good that we can leverage these items, right? I'm not going to use cat poo by any means, but I mean, if you had rabbits, I've heard gerbils and hamsters, that their litter could be used in the garden. Don't take my word for that. Feel free to do your own research. Not cat or dog poo from what I understand, but being able to leverage, if you have a fish tank, why not? Why not? And who knew pet turtles could do that, right? Geeky Gardens, how many garden beds do you have? We were having a conversation about that before you got here. Wow, 40 years, Jack. That's amazing. 40 years. That's a part of the family right there. My gosh. Yeah, chickens for the compost would be fantastic. We don't have any chickens here. I'm not ready for that yet. I need to get my gardening down first before I start trying to take on other human lives, or not, sorry, other lives that require me to pay attention to them. So rabbits make great fertilizer. Or rabbit poo makes great fertilizer. Cool. That's good to know. I've heard, I won't be able to think of her name right now. I I feel like it, and maybe Joel Salatin has done the same thing, where they had the rabbits lived in hutches in the top of a chicken house. And so the rabbits live up on the second story, so to speak, and they have the cages so their poo falls through. Their poo falls through. The bugs get on the poo. The chickens scratch it up. The chickens also make their own mess in there. And so you end up with the bugs have been eaten out of it, and you end up with a rabbit chicken goulash, I guess, to use in the garden. So I've heard that as well. So, yeah, to have chickens, you have to protect them from everything. And we have here, even though we are in the city, right? We're not way out in the country by any means. It's like 12, 13 miles to town. So not like we're not way out in the country. And so, you know, we still here have fox, raccoon, possums that are all potential risk, snakes that are potential risk for having hens for us. And we would have to really think about either some kind of a tractor where they're fully enclosed at night and nothing could dig underneath. And I would probably want a tractor system so I can move them around the yard. So, hey, Metal Hendrix, thank you. Yes, please like and share the video. Thank you, Metal Hendrix. Please like and share the video. You don't have to compost rabbit waste. I had no idea. I had no idea. I think that probably does make sense though, because rabbits are herbivores, right? They're herbivores, and so they don't have the other things in there that you might have. Like chickens are eating everything, and of course cows are herbivores, but it still needs to be composted down. So I don't know, maybe my thought process on that is wrong. People do the rabbit and worm system together. Ooh, that's interesting. So, Plant Obsessed, I'm glad you mentioned the worms. I have sad news. I'm going to have to buy more worms. I failed. I have failed as a worm mama. I have failed as a worm mama. And I'll share this with you all, and I need to do a recant on one of my videos. So you remember when I made the shreds to make like a little worm blanket on top? I put too many, and it got really hot in there, like steaming in summer, steaming. And so all the worms either left or died, and I've been left with all the other critters that want to chew things up. But the last time I dug anything in, I had like 3 worms in the entire worm bin. And so I've got to buy more worms, and I am going to figure it out. So, but, ooh, oh, that's interesting. Can you use goat pellets in the garden? So here's Jack's answer on the garden beds. So 7, 8, 9, 10, and the green stalks. Excellent, excellent. Jack had to go out and count. Yeah, I wrote mine down because mine's in a different pattern around the yard. I had to draw it around. So I am up to. I know it's not a competition, Jack. I was just curious. So, so Plant Obsessed says it's likely they will come back to the pod and repopulate. So Plant Obsessed, should I just keep putting a little bit of food in there? Should I just keep adding some food? Let me know that. I would appreciate that, because I'm figuring that I'm going to have to just buy some more. But now that I have the garden beds filled up, I can start setting out my new compost systems, my new worm compost systems with those with those farm tote baskets or milk crates, and I'm going to make sure I make a video about that for you guys. I love it. I love that we can be live and we can go and Google stuff. Habitual Hobby says Google agrees that goat pellets are higher in nitrogen than cow and chicken and can be directly applied as they break down. So interesting. I had no idea, y'all. Well, I've just discovered that I have a neighbor who has hens that's very close. I wonder what they're doing. I don't know if they have a garden or not. I wonder where they're putting their spent chicken litter, if they're just putting in trash bags. I might have to have a conversation about that. Huh. I might need to go find out. I'm also going to go, the complex where my friend lives, they blow all the leaves up against the fence. And so I think I can go and get myself 3 or 4 bags worth of giant leaves that I can use for the garden. And they're close to me, so we kind of have some of the same things. I'm not going to get the leaf mold, but I think I'm going to just set up a leaf mold pen in the back and put the leaves down in there and cover them up so they can just have time to sort of settle down. So more shredded paper and very little people food until they get going again. Every worm egg can have 6 babies, and it won't take much time to get the population back. Okay. Thank you, Plant Obsessed, for that. So maybe I'll keep experimenting over there and just buy some worms for the new establishment. Because I'm going to attempt to do some worm composting in every bed for 2 reasons. One, I love the idea of composting right in the beds. And I can absolutely tell you guys that the tomatoes and the loofah and the peppers that were growing around the sub pod, around my in-ground composting bin, they definitely did really, really well. I did not fertilize them throughout the year. And I mean, the peppers right now, though they're getting a little spindly, are probably 3.5 or 4 feet tall. And they are just really starting to show off now that they don't have all of the leaves covering them and they can get some sun through to them. And so I'm excited to try that in other beds. And then the second reason is, you know, we have a lot of food scraps here because we eat a lot from our garden. We eat salads almost every day. We eat cucumbers every day. We eat tomatoes regularly. And so we have all of these food scraps that are just too much for the one bin. And so I feel like if I can spread them around throughout the garden, then I'll have much better results with vermicomposting in the bins. And so I appreciate any thoughts you guys have on that. I have my shredded paper ready. I'm all set. It is amazing. I love my shredder. And thank you again for having that video talking about the shredder. And by the way, I say this each time, but I want to remind you, we do have folks here that have other channels as well. So Plant Obsessed has a vermicomposting channel and gardening channel. Geeky Gardens is sharing all the fun things and the laboratory experiments that he's doing. Habitual Hobbies also has a channel with us. Did I forget anybody who has a channel? If I did, I'm sorry, let us know. But you can check those channels out as well because they're all putting out unique content and different things that are going on. At Geeky Gardens, he spent the summer in Idaho, so he had a whole different experience with gardening, and that was fun to follow Jack. So thank you for that. He also has Critter Cam set up like I do, so I get a kick out of those things. So, well, my friends, we're getting close to the 8:30 time frame. How did that happen? I'm gonna look and see here. All right, fantastic. The vertical pipe worm tower works the best. Check out that video. Small and doesn't heat up. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's so funny. I have different comments on my phone than on my computer. That's weird. So trench composting of food scraps right into the bed. Yeah, I think if I was gardening in the ground, I might try that. I don't know how I feel about trench composting up in a garden bed where I know I don't have a whole lot of things to come up and eat it. So I'm not sure about that. Oh yeah, 7:30 where you are. Yeah, 7:30, 6:30, 5:30 where you are. It's 8:30 here. It's 8:30 here on the East Coast. That was the weirdest part about going to California is I wake up typically here between 3 and 4 a.m. And so, that's when everybody I was visiting on the West Coast is going to bed. And so it took me a while to get my days and nights reoriented, though I'm not sure they're actually fully reoriented yet. So, Anastasia tried the trench composting with pumpkins last year and got free pumpkins. Well, free pumpkins is not so bad. That's not so bad. I like that, Anne. Thank you again on the vertical pipe. I'll take a look at that because I actually do have some pipe here that I could use because I tried it before, but I'm impatient. I'm impatient. You guys don't mind me being honest to you. I'm impatient. I just want to keep feeding these worm towers. And so I think if I have them all over, then I'm going to do a better job at that. So yeah, the cats have no concept of the time changes. Outdoor cats don't know. The indoor cats don't know. Tomorrow they'll get a nice surprise because I probably will wake up close to the same time, so it probably won't go too bad for them. Excellent. Any last things we want to chat about before we call it a night, you beautiful people? Let me know in the comments. So coming up this week, we'll have the, for sure tomorrow, the video of my visit to Kevin will be released tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon. I'll have to check the time. Sometime, most likely 7 o'clock Eastern time, but I'll double check that. I'll just set it up as a premiere. So that'll be easier for everybody to get notifications on that. Also this week, I will share the video of harvesting the persimmons and some of the critters I caught up in the tree. So we'll have that this week out as well. And then there's just lots coming. I mean, I've just got lots of busy stuff to do in the garden, and I'm just can't. I love getting my hands dirty and getting out there and having fun with you guys. So I appreciate that you all take your time out of your Sunday night to come out and hang out with us. If you're still here with us watching, be sure to say good night in the comments to everybody here. I sure would appreciate that. And since I haven't heard you guys ask any other questions, I am going to call it a night. Will I do a garden tour? Oh, yes. Yes, I will do a garden tour, a big twinge. I need to do a daylight garden tour so y'all can see how much dirt I got. So that is a great question. Yes, I will get a garden tour shot this week. Actually, I'm watching the soil because I'm watching it sort of settle. And so I don't want to plant just yet. We got this weird weather. It's hot again today after being in the 50s for 2 days in a row. So, well, thank you guys. I will get that garden tour as well. It is so great to see everyone. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for all of the great things you do to help our gardening community grow and get better here. And until next time, my friends, remember, drink plenty of water, wear that high quality sunscreen, and as always, I'll do this hand tonight, and as always, have a fantastic day or night.